Today I'm at the grocery store with legendary dietitian Heidi Bates, who is also a professor at the University of Alberta. We're going to talk about the Canada Food Guide and some of the myths and facts about the Canada Food Guide. Some of the things we think are great, but some of the things that we can, I think, improve with the Canada Food Guide and give you some advice that you can follow as a person trying to lose weight. So Heidi, tell me about the Canada Food Guide. What do you like about it, and what do you think can be improved about the Canada Food Guide?
Well, you know what I really like about the Canada Food Guide is that it talks about foods people should choose instead of nutrients. Because let's get serious, people don't eat milligrams of sodium, we eat salt, and people don't eat pieces of calcium, they eat pieces of fruits and vegetables or milk products. So
they put it in a real food product that they can understand, right?
Absolutely, because the average person really doesn't know what those other terms mean, and I think that's a real bonus. Well, one of the best things is that it really spells out how big a portion size should be. People today have absolutely no idea how big portions of food should be because we eat in restaurants a lot and we get real big portions. If you think about pasta, for example, a half a cup of pasta, and that's about half of a woman's fist, is one serving, and that's cooked. One Food Guide serving of grain products. If you think about going out to a restaurant, you probably get at least 3 fistfuls, which is 6 servings of grain products in one meal. So it's really easy to overdo it, and the Food Guide brings you back to what a portion size should look like.
So what about the Canada Food Guide do you think is limited? What can we improve about it? Because I think there's a lot of things we can improve about the Canada Food Guide.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do. But tell me what you think. Is there anything that we can improve upon, or is it just perfect?
No, there's nothing that's perfect, and I think it's designed to be a really simple nutrition education tool to help people along.
Right.
One of the places I think it probably could be a little bit clearer is about foods that you should limit or avoid. It talks about limiting or avoiding foods that are higher in fat or sugar, but I think people struggle with the idea of what do you mean by limit or avoid? Like, is it avoid completely? How much is limiting? And I think some, just a little bit more detail about that would be really helpful.
I agree with you there totally. So let's talk about the trans fats.
Okay.
Trans fats have been sort of the big catchphrase for the bunch last years.
Yep.
And there's trans fats in most food products that's stored on a shelf, right? So do you think, in your opinion, that trans fats should be outlawed, or can we even avoid trans fats?
Well, there's trans fats, first of all, that naturally occur in some foods, and they're usually in pretty small amounts, so you'll find them in meats and some milk products and so on, and they're not really harmful in the small amounts where they naturally occur. The problem is the trans fats that we're creating by using certain types of man-made fats that are the real problem. Those are super tough to avoid unless we get some kind of government legislation that says you can't use those modified hydrogenated fats. Right now they're in crackers, they're in cereals, they're in snack products, and that makes it very difficult for the average person who's going to choose some of those foods to avoid them.
Heidi, don't you think the Canada Food Guide is flawed, that it doesn't tell you how many calories, what food makes up a certain amount of calories? Like, what is 1,000 calories made up of? Or what makes up 1,500 calories or 2,000 calories? Because it just gives you the portion sizes. It doesn't say if you pick this many portion sizes that it adds up to this many calories.
Oh, well, I totally agree there, because people don't know what a calorie is, and telling people that is kind of meaningless. What the Food Guide does is tell people how many Food Guide servings, so not whatever size serving you want, but a Food Guide serving of say, grain products or vegetables and fruits, people that are, say, between the ages of 19 and 50 need in a day. And they're thinking about it from the perspective of somebody that's not super active. So the Food Guide for elite level athletes needs a bit of tweaking, because they're going to need more food than the Food Guide.
So the Food Guide is for just the general, lightly active individual in society.
That's right.
So Heidi, what do you think about the pudding? Like, in the Canada Food Guide, it says pudding is a serving or potential serving of a dairy product. Like, what's up with that? When
you look at the milk products group, they're looking at a wide range of things, and pudding's one of them. Chocolate milk's another one that you find in there that people sometimes don't get. But both of them contain calcium, which is a really difficult nutrient for many people to get. And chocolate milk, has no more sugar in it than apple juice. It's got as much calcium as regular white milk. And for a lot of people, especially kids, it just makes them more likely to do it. And so you see it in there. It's one of those things, though, because it's got a little bit more sugar, you probably want to choose it less often.
Heidi, tell me about the liquid calories. Don't you think the Canada Food Guide should say limit how many calories that you're getting from liquids?
Oh, I absolutely agree. Most of the time you want to be getting your calories from solid food that's going to fill you up and sustain you a little bit longer. The problem with liquids is you can get a ton of calories packed into a liquid. Some of the specialty coffee drinks that we've got, the high-end smoothies, all of those things can give you lots and lots of calories, and they don't keep you full quite as long. And so the problem is then you're hungry again and you can tend to overeat.
Exactly. So don't you think the Canada Food Guide should say stop drinking liquid calories in there?
Probably not a bad idea. Remember, the Food Guide's trying to address a really general audience. It isn't necessarily specifically a weight loss tool.
How about meats? Tell me about the meats. we see lots of studies saying, red meat's not that healthy for you, can cause heart disease, can lead to cancers, that kind of thing. Shouldn't the Canada Food Guide say limit the amount of red meat that you eat, or is even red meat part of a diet a human being should eat?
Well, red meat's a great source of protein, a really good source of iron, and iron for a lot of people is a difficult nutrient to get. And with the food guide, what it says is choose a variety of foods in each food group. So it's really telling people don't choose the same things over and over again. So the food guide's really expecting you to choose some fish, choose some beans, peas, lentils, those kinds of things. And in fact, it specifically tells you that you should be doing that periodically and choosing fish 2 times a week. So it's the variety that really matters. If you choose anything over and over and over again, you lose the benefits.
How about this, the conspiracy theory out there? There's certain organizations like the dairy industry, like the meat industry, paying the government or the Canada Food Guide people to put their product in there. Any truth to that?
Yeah, no. I mean, there is absolutely no such thing that goes on. When the Canada's Food Guide is developed, the nutritionists and nutrition researchers that do the development look at all of the science out there and then decide what goes into the food guide. We got lots of information that tells us vegetables and fruits are really healthy, so they're the biggest group in the food guide. We've got information that people are lacking in calcium and need it for bone health, so you see milk products that are rich in calcium appear on the food guide. And our food guide is similar to ones that are developed everywhere else in the world. So the whole idea that commodity groups or somebody is paying health professionals, think again.
Heidi, thanks very much for joining me in the grocery store today.
It was a ton of fun.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So for those of you that sign up for the newsletter, you're going to get some bonus material. There's going to be some recipes specifically for children. So they're going to be very healthy choices, but the kids are going to look at it and they're going to want to eat them because it's going to look very tasty. So sign up for the newsletter and I'll get those recipes out to you.